everyone, this is Nickredace coming at your brand new video. My voice is better, and now we can do a proper deck profile. This time we're going to work on Red Eye's deck. In this case, we're going to do two versions of the Red Eye's deck. The main objective of this deck is control, XYZ spam, recycling. The secondary objectives include tons of special summoning, hard to kill boss monsters, and the ability to remove hard to remove boss monsters, mostly with Red Eye's Fangwood Chain, which we'll go into later. So the first card we're looking at is the mainstay of the deck, which is 3 Red Eye's Black Dragons. It's a normal monster, level 7. It has okay attack, okay defense, nothing really to talk about here. The next one would be just more of a main boss monster for any dragon deck, and this is Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon. Its main effect is that it can special summon itself to the field from your hand by banishing a face-up dragon monster. You can only do this once per turn, which doesn't really matter because it's limited to 1. And during your main phase, you can special summon 1 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard except itself, which again doesn't matter since there's only 1 of it. It just increases your plays by banishing some of the weaker dragons. Get this out, and then you can special summon some of your stronger dragons. Next we have the first spell card of the deck, which is Red Eye's Insight. This is your basic search card. Send 1 Red Eye's monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Add 1 Red Eye's spell trap from your deck to your hand except itself, and you can only activate once per turn. So the main thing I would use this for is you can either send Red Eye's Darkness Metal to the graveyard and then get Red Eye's Spirit, which means next turn you can special summon Red Eye's Darkness Metal to your field without having to banish a monster. The other one would be sending any card, Red Eye's wise, to the graveyard, and then getting Red Eye's Fusion, using that effect to get Dragoon out, and pretty much you're safe for a bit. Dragoon's a very powerful monster, which we'll also go into later on. Red Eye's Fusion. This is probably one of the most powerful fusion cards I've seen in a long time. It says fusion summon 1 fusion monster that lists a Red Eye's monster as material from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion materials. And if you do, its name becomes Red Eye's Black Dragon. You cannot normal special summon other monsters the turn you activate this card, and you can only activate once per turn. When you activate this, you can't summon any other cards, pretty much. You can set cards. So you use this, you don't require any other cards in your hand, and you can just send materials from your deck to the graveyard to special summon the card you need. Again, usually Dragoon, playing defensively. Usually first turn you go to Dragoon. If you're trying to break down opponent's defenses, that's when you go into Black Skull Archfiend, which is another card we'll go into a little bit later on. Red Eye's Archfiend of Lightning. This is a level 6 card, treated as a normal monster, because it's Gemini of course. And when it's normal summoned, its effect is once per turn you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with defense lower than this card's attack. That makes this card actually really powerful because there's not too many cards that have an attack, or should say have a defense, higher than 2500 as the staple. Usually a boss monster might have more defense than that, but getting this out, since it's again a Red Eye's card, so you can special summon it through a myriad of ways, and since it's considered a normal monster while face up in the graveyard, there's another special card for summoning it. You can activate its effect then, wipe the field, continue on. Next card is Black Metal Dragon. Now this card isn't a Red Eye's Dragon, so you can't really search it, but it is a Red Eye's Dragon in the fact that it's used in this deck. It's another generic searcher. Its ability is you can target 1 Red Eye's monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. It gains 600 attack. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Red Eye's card deck to the hand. So that means any card from this deck practically can come to your hand. That's Insight, Fusion, most of the monsters, deck to your hand. And since it can be special summoned through the ability of Red Eye's Darkness Metal, and while it's on the field it can be attached to any card, you can use it for boosting attack and its search effect of course. Next card we have is Return of the Red Eyes. Now its effect is if you control a Red Eyes monster, which is most of this deck, you can target 1 normal monster in your graveyard, special summon it. If this card in your possession is destroyed by opponent's card effect sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So its first effect pretty much says any normal monster. So that means you got your Red Eyes, you got your Archfiend of Lightning, you have your Summoned Skull, and you have your Dark Magician in this deck that can all be summoned, as well as Red Eye's Flare Dragon, and I think that's pretty much it. Now, if this card is, say, MST'd and you have Red Eyes on the field, what I would normally do is you activate it, get its normal effect off, and since it's destroyed, you can then summon any Red Eyes monster. So say you have Darkness Metal in the graveyard, someone MSTs this, well, I just summoned a normal monster and a Darkness Metal, and you just popped only 1 card. It's a really good card, many pluses, but it requires cards in the graveyard, which this deck does very well, and it also requires a Red Eyes in the field, which this deck also does very well. Next we have the Black Stone of Legend, which is the main activator. So this card you normal summon, and then you contribute to special summon 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, shuffle it back into your deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use one Blackstone Legend effect per turn, and only once that turn. This card is a constant recycler. You normal summon it. You get a Red Eyes Black Dragon on the field. It's in your graveyard. That Red Eyes Black Dragon gets destroyed. You use its effect. You shuffle that Red Eyes Black Dragon into the deck, get it in your hand. Next turn, you normal summon. And you just continue from that. Really good card, enables a lot of plays. I definitely would keep this in the deck. It does say one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster, so not just normal monster. So you can get practically any other Red Eyes monster with the exception of, say, Darkness Metal. Next, we have Wyvern. Once per turn during your end phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. So this card is pretty much, you set it and you wait. It's attack destroyed, special summon. Its secondary effect does say you cannot normal summon / set during the turn you activate this effect. It's more of a Red Eyes, because nothing is, it stays in your graveyard. So it's not, say, like the Blue Eyes card, Stone of the Ancients, which says it has to be the turn it's sent to the graveyard. This one simply says, anytime this is in the graveyard, during your end phase, you can special summon a Red Eyes monster. Any Red Eyes monster, which means Darkness Metal is also one you can summon. Next we have is Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon. Cannot be normal summon set, must be first special summon from your hand by tributing one Red Eyes monster from your hand or field. You can only special summon him once per turn this way, and if he's destroyed by battle, or if this card is in its owner's possession destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can target one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, except himself, special summon it, and if it was Red Eyes B Dragon, pretty sure it means Red Eyes Black Dragon, that was summoned, its original attack becomes doubled. So it just allows you to special summon another Red Eyes monster, and in this case you can special summon a Red Eyes Black Dragon, double its attack, which then becomes 4800, you have your beater there. It's decent, it's a faster way of getting out Red Eyes Black Dragon. Now this is a very unique card, and it's kind of broken, but it's only available for the Red Eyes deck. So target one Red Eyes monster you control, equip this card to it, and it can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. That's kind of mediocre, but its secondary effect says you can send this equipped card to the graveyard and then target one effect monster in the field. Equip that target to the monster this card is equipped to, and if you do, while a monster is equipped to it by this effect, its attack defense become equal to the original attack defense of the equipped monster. Pretty much you can target any of your opponent's boss monsters that can be targeted at least, and then equip it to that monster. It's pretty much insanely good because you can, this gets past Chaos Max, but a lot of heavy beaters you can just usually before or after their effect is activated just be like, nope, it's mine now. So really decent card, really unique card, sadly only useful for Red Eyes decks. Then we have Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. This card is usually just used as an additional Red Eyes Black Dragon, as it has the same stats, and is usually going to stay normal monster. Its effect though, once it's normal summoned, is if damage calculation performed involving this card, at the end of the battle phase, inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's original attack. Next card we have is Summon Skull. It's your generic 2500, 1200 normal. It's just here for Black Skull Archfiend, which we'll get into later. We'll get the extra deck. Same thing, Dark Magician. He's just used here for extra deck material. Then we have Red Eyes Spirit. Target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Super simple. Allure of Darkness. 90%, I'm saying like 95% of the cards in this deck are dark monsters. So this, you really don't have a problem with sending your entire hand to the graveyard anyway. But you'll always be able to banish monster too. And it speeds up the deck quite a bit. And then we have the new Holy Trifecta, which I'm using for most decks. Regeki, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Harpy's Feather Duster, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. And Monster Reborn, which is Monster Reborn. And onto the extra deck, we start off with Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. While it has materials, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. While this card has XYZ material, each time your opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage to your opponent immediately after resolve. So something you might be noticing with all the Red Eyes cards so far is there's an emphasis on burn damage. And this is one of the, I want to say one of the best burn cards, as simply your opponent doing anything inflicts 500 damage on. Also, once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, target a Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard, and special summon it. A better use of this would be summoning the Flare Dragon, you can normal summon the Flare Dragon, attacking, tons of damage. Next, we have Ebon Illusion Magician. This card is kind of a niche in this deck, but it does kind of work. You can summon it using a rank 6 spellcaster type monster you're usually not going to. So once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, special summon one spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. Doesn't really matter. And when this normal spellcaster type normal monster creates an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it. So pretty much, you use Fusion, you get Dragoon out. If Dragoon's going against trouble, you get this card out. You special summon from Return of the Red Eyes, you special summon Dark Magician. Dark Magician attacks, you get to banish an opponent's card. That's pretty much the only use of him in this deck at the point. Next we have number 11, Big Eye. Once per turn you can detach one material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, take control of that monster, and this card cannot attack the turn it's activated, which really doesn't matter. The main effect is stealing your opponent's monster. Super simple, super easy. Next we have Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack. So if you do not get Red Eye's Fusion off the bat, you still have to destroy your opponent's background. So this is the card to go for. 2 level 7s. Once per turn, detach materials, summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. While you control a token, it cannot be destroyed by battle card effect. Also, once per turn, you contribute 1 Mecha Phantom Beast monster, target 1 card on the field, and destroy that card. It cannot attack turn you activate this effect, yada yada yada. Again, you summon this, you summon the tokens, and you destroy back row. That's the main portion of this. The main 2 boss monsters of the deck, starting with the offensive one, which is Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. You can only special summon once per turn, and if this card battles your opponent's card, and if this card battles your opponent's cards and effect, cannot be activated until the end damage step, kind of like Utopia Lightning. And if damage calculation is performed involving this fusion summon card, at the end of the battle phase, you can target 1 Red Eye's normal monster in the graveyard, inflict damage equal to its attack in the graveyard, and then shuffle into the deck. Usually, that means you're going to be attacking, dealing how much damage you're dealing, and then you're going to be dealing an extra 2400 on top of that. So it's super good offensive card because it stops your opponent from using practically any back row, and you inflict burn damage on top of that. Then we go on to the opposite of that, which is more defensive card, which is Red Eye's Dragoon. This card requires, of course, Dark Magician, Red Eye's Black Dragon, or Dragon Monster. You're going to use Red Eye's Fusion to get it out, and it cannot be destroyed by target effects, and neither player can target it with card effects. Sadly, that means the Red Eye's Chain with Fang won't work. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to this monster's original attack. That goes back to the whole burn effects that this deck's based around. You can use this effect a number of times equal to the number of normal monsters used as fusion materials for this card, so pretty much 2 times at max. But since we are using 2 normal monsters to summon it, its effect is going to be pretty good anyway. So you get to destroy 2 cards your opponent controls, inflict the damage, and it can still attack, because let's see, this card cannot attack after its activated effect. So that kind of shows power creeping, actually. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it, and then this card gains 1000 attack. So this card, super defensive. Pretty much you just sit on it and you're good. The only way that you can really get past it is a mass returning, like a special Mirror Force returns all cards back to your hand, back to the extra deck, or turns them face down. That's happened a few times. But those effects, if you've waited, can be negated by its discard effect. So very good card. Next we go on to Dark Anthelion Dragon. Its main effect, I'm just going to read its main effect, is you can detach 1 material from this card, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Until the end of this turn, its attack becomes half its current, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. Pretty much the same thing as the rank 4 version. Next we have Predaplant Verte Anaconda. You can target 1 face-up monster in the field, becomes dark to the end of the turn. Doesn't matter because all these cards are dark. You can pay 2,000 life points, send 1 fusion or poly, normal, or quick play spell from your deck to the graveyard. This card's effect becomes that spell's effect when that card is activated. Pretty much, you activate this card's effect, Red Eye's Fusion, if you're unlucky enough to be able to summon this and not have Red Eyes, and you can get out your 2 boss monsters. That's pretty much its only effect. Next we have Darkness Metal, the Dragon of Darksteel. This card is pretty interesting. You can target 1 of your monsters that's banished or in your graveyard and special summon it to a zone this card points to. In defense positions, effects are negated. Also, you cannot special link monsters for the rest of this turn. Usually doesn't matter because you're going to be using this to XYZ. And the summoned monster is placed on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. Again, doesn't matter because you can turn into an XYZ. It's a really interesting card. I'm probably going to use this a little bit more when I get into something like zombies. I'm going to play around with it because the ability to just summon any monster, of course they turn into normal monsters and they're in defense position, but to summon any monster from the banished summoner on the field, it's kind of broken. And that is it for the Red Eyes cards. So version 2, we have Tenye Spirit Vishuddha, I think I pronounced that right. If you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, then target one card your opponent controls and return to the hand. Pretty good with this deck, simply because you're going to have Red Eyes Black Dragon, or Dark Magician or Skull, and you'll be able to use that effect quite often. The main portion of this is you'll be able to get out an additional card, because this is level 7, to continue your level 7 plays. Next we have Nocto Vision Dragon. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a face-down card you control, you can banish this card from the graveyard and negate that effect. Also, your opponent cannot target that face-down card or cards with card effects for the rest of the turn. You can only use each of these effects once per turn, by the way. These additional effects. If a Dark Dragon monster is special summoned to your side of the field, which is 90% of this deck, except during damage death, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's another level 7. And if this card is sent from the graveyard as link material, you can draw a card. Probably not going to happen, but it's a possibility. Again, this card is just like the last one. It's just used to bolster your plays to be able to get more rank 7 monsters out. And the last one is Tempest, Dragon Ruler of Storms. This card is, again, just to bolster your summons. If you can discard this card, one wind monster to the graveyard, add one dragon monster from your deck to your hand. You can banish a total of 2 wind and or dragon monsters from your hand or graveyard to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard during your opponent's phase. If you control this special summon card, you can pretty much this card is just used for banishing your useless dragon cards, special summon again, try to get out those quicker rank 7 plays. And an additional card I found out for the rank 7 plays, which is pretty decent depending on what you choose. This is Fujinkai Ashima. Its effect is, if this card is link summoned, special summon 2 monsters with the same level, one from your hand, one from your graveyard, negate their effects, and immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon one XYZ monster using only those 2 monsters. If an XYZ monster this card points to activates an effect by detaching materials, you can target one spell trap card your opponent controls, destroy it. Big Eye, detach, control a monster, destroy spell trap. Mecha Phantom Beast, activates effect, summon 2 tokens, destroy spell trap card, tribute a token, destroy another spell trap card. Red Eyes Black Dragon, summon it, summon a Red Eyes, destroy a spell trap card. Very, very good card. Only problem is it's super weak, so usually it's destroyed the turn after you summon it, but hopefully by that time the opponent doesn't have any back row and you can just plow right through them. Thank you all for watching. This has been Nickredace, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Nickredace out.